Hello, my love, and welcome home. This is Coming Home with Mama T, and I'm your host, Tiara, aka T, and further known as Mama T. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about magic. We're gearing up for a new full moon as of the recording of this episode. And I wanted to share some thoughts that are coming up for me. So one of the things is this is going to be a second to last public event leading up to the opening of the home membership coming up for me tomorrow. And we're doing a full moon ritual. And I'm loving the idea of tying events to the cycles of the moon as I adhere to them. And one of the things that keeps bubbling up for me is this thought of well, who am I to be hosting these rituals? Why? Because, I've spent a lot of time in different places and spaces working with other witches and other spiritual practitioners who have been leading these kind of rituals for years. And not even these kind of rituals as I think about it, because I know that what I'm bringing to the table is different from what they have done. But there's still this imposter syndrome in me of I can't do a ritual because someone else has already done it. And here's my experience for you in saying that one, I already know that what I'm going to be doing is different, not because I'm I have to make it different, I have to make it niche, but because I want to. How I practice and what I do is different than what other people do. And while I have learned different things and created different elements and layered them into my own practice, I don't necessarily practice one specific modality or anything. I kind of bring a lot of different things in my spiritual practice. So with that, I recognize my power. And I also want to emphasize, why doing a ritual as a community versus individually, and kind of go down that pathway. So why I like to do community rituals is because I do believe that when we have more people and more energy focusing in on a similar intention, it helps to move that intention forward. It helps to hold us all accountable for taking the actions necessary to move that intention forward. And so I think that doing these rituals as a community is helpful and supportive when we have like-minded individuals together to help bring that energy up and continue to lift it and continue to help us match the frequency of what it is that we desire and fully align with our desires. That being said, also want to point out the importance of working individually. Right? We have to understand our own power, right? We have to trust in our own power. One thing that I've learned over my life is I used to do all these rituals with other people and a part of other people's communities. And while I may or may not have been a leader in different people's communities, I felt like there was an air of codependency on whoever was the actual leader of the community to be the true practitioner, if you will. And it's got me to a place where I felt like I couldn't trust myself or trust my own intuition without having to relate back to something that someone else created or whatever. And so I think it's really important as we go about our own individual practices to recognize that we are just as powerful as the person next to us, regardless of how many years we've put in learning our own spiritual practice. I think it's really important that we really understand and trust ourselves and our own intuition and put that before someone else's practice, because that someone else's practice is also built on somebody else's belief structure. And so unless you completely and fully adhere to somebody else's belief structure, their practice may or may not work for you, right? Or it might not be as clear to you as it is to them, if that makes sense. So my space and coming home, and an big essence of coming home is really, one, honing in on our individual gifts and power and recognizing and trusting in ourselves, but also leaning into the community aspect of bringing in more people to provide more energy. Because I think of it like a pyramid, right? Like the pyramids are these huge, beautiful, wonderful creations that I haven't seen in person, and I have a desire to go and see. And I know that there was like slave labor, and there's probably a lot of controversy around their building, but we can't put aside the fact that there's still like this massive man-made structure. But no one person built a pyramid, right? Like it took thousands of people to blood, sweat, tears, and lives to build these monumentous things, right? And so if a singular person tried to put forth the effort and the energy to create a pyramid by themselves, it cannot happen. Like I never seen them, but I'm 100% certain that one person could not in an entire lifetime build a massive pyramid by themselves. More energy needed to be brought into it, and that's why it required more people. So yes, we can work and we can do things, but it makes achieving desires so much easier when there's a little bit of help, right? A lot of bit of help, any kind of help, right? When we have a support system, and I think that's why community is so important, is that we have support, we have acceptance, we have more energy. We can lean on others when our energy is depleted. We can offer up our energy when we are in an overflow. And that is the magic in creating that kind of space. So with that, while this episode is going to be posted after the event that I'm like talking about, or that had created a little bit of like negativity and like I had my fist up, like controversy in my soul, it will be something that will continue in the home membership. And I think every month is going to look a little bit different. I have ideas for like cooking rituals. I have ideas for just cooking in general, and recipes that will be coming into the space, actual practices, and rather than conceptual practices that you might hear here on the podcast or see in any of the public facing content. Definitely a deeper dive and more how-tos and guidance in that front. So I'm excited to bring that home, right? Because the essence of home is really creating the feel as if you were to come into my physical space, my physical home. And I do desire to actually have a literal physical space that you can come into down the line and share in these things. But like, you know, if you come into my house, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to feed you. There's going to be like, you know, alcohol, wine, or cocktails or whatever. Might get a tarot reading. We might watch some TV. There will be music and fun and lightheartedness and karaoke, whatever. Like, these are the things that people tend to experience in my space, and it's fun and it's warm and it's cozy. And I want to bring that to the home membership, whether you get to experience it virtually or experience it in person. It's gonna be amazing. So with that, I encourage you to join us. If you haven't already, you can go to www.abubbly.life/luxury living and click the home membership link to sign up. Reminder, between now and September 4th, if you do join early, you do get a one-on-one 30-minute session with me that you can use however you like. If you want to do some like business strategy, if you just want to like release, you want meditation, you want a tarot reading, whatever, you got 30 minutes with me. Use it how you feel will best serve you in creating the life of your desires. And with that, this is your reminder that even if someone else has done something similar, created something of their own, that does not negate the fact that you can create something just as amazing and you can create something successful for yourself. You are your magic. You get to trust your magic. And it's always fun to have someone else support you. Welcome home, my friend. I love you. Ta-ta for now.